You ever have that feeling like no matter what you do, nothing's ever good enough? Like, people see you as capable, but deep down you're really questioning everything that's going on and if you're really capable of it. I've been there. Let's talk about it and let's see what's going on. I like to think I have great ideas, I come up with these ideas, I write them down, or I put them in my phone so I won't forget. And then I start the plan, or I make a plan, I start to execute, and then I stop. And for years it's been like that. Like, I've literally just gone through the motions of getting an idea, making a plan, starting the plan, not executing, not following through. And so I happened to hear this phrase, imposter syndrome, and I kept hearing it and kept hearing it and kept hearing it. And I was just like, let me just look into it to see what this is really talking about. So I asked ChatGPT what imposter syndrome was, and let me read you what it said. Okay, so ChatGPT said, imposter syndrome is when you feel like you're pretending to be good at something even though you're actually really good at it. It's like playing dress up as a superhero but secretly thinking, I'm not a real hero. Even though people around you might say, wow, you're amazing at this, you might feel like you don't deserve the praise and think, I just got lucky, or they'll find out I'm not as good as they think. But the truth is, most people who feel this way are actually great at what they do. They just don't believe it yet. It's a tricky feeling, but it helps to remind yourself of your hard work and all the things you've done. Then it goes on to say, imposter syndrome often makes you feel like you're not qualified or good enough, even when you actually are. It's like sitting in a classroom where everyone thinks you're a great student, but inside you're thinking, I don't belong here. What if they find out I don't know enough? This can happen even if you work hard, earn your place, or have the skills for something. It tricks you into believing you don't deserve success even when you've clearly earned it. Remember, feeling unqualified doesn't mean you actually are. It's just your brain playing tricks on you. Y'all, I was shook. Shooketh. That's me. Let me give you an example. So I came up with this idea months ago, okay? Months ago. I'm talking about September. And I had it in my head. I created it on the computer, and that's where I left it at, right? Classic imposter syndrome. Then months later, I picked it back up and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I started to follow through. I started trying to execute. And then all of a sudden I got back in my head and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, people are not going to like this. Just because I like it don't mean that they're going to like it. So why am I doing this? And I put it back down. And I was feeling bad. And I was just like, in my head, like, I don't understand why I keep feeling like this. Why do I keep doing this? Like, why do I keep having these good ideas and just feeling like nobody's going to see it or nobody's going to like it before I even put it out? Like, I'm not even giving people a chance. And then here comes ChatGPT telling me all of this stuff. And I'm just like, flappers gasted. Okay? Flappers gasted. So, with all that being said, we need to figure out what's going on. How can we change this around? How can we make this, or how can we have a better follow through? How can we make sure we execute and not let imposter syndrome take over our mind, not let these negative thoughts take over our mind? I'm about to give you 5 things that we can do together, because we're going to do it together. And we're going to start executing it, and we are going to be more confident in ourselves and our abilities and our talents. So let's get into it. So number 1 is going to be to keep a win journal. And so with this, big wins, small wins, medium wins, it don't matter. Write it down. And so then whenever you start feeling like you're not good enough, or you're not qualified, or whatever the case may be, you go back to this journal. And this journal is going to give you proof that you are qualified and that you were called to do this thing, or that you have great ideas. Like, this is going to be your proof. So number 1 is going to be to keep a win journal. Number 2 is going to be to talk about it. And so basically you need to build yourself a community, Find you at least one person that you can trust, that you know for sure that you can trust, to talk about the situation. Be vulnerable with them and just tell them like what you're thinking and what's going on. And at the very least, at least you've gotten it off your chest. And this person can now remind you like who you are, whose you are, okay? And keep you accountable and keep pushing you and tell you to not stop doing the things that you're doing, because you're great at what you do and you have great ideas. So number 2, make sure you find you guys make sure you find a community. Number 3 is going to be to challenge those negative thoughts, okay? You need to start asking yourself, what proof do I have that this is not a good idea? What evidence do I have that this idea is not going to flourish? What proof do I have that I'm not qualified for that job? You know what I mean? Like, you need to start figuring out if there's evidence or if there's proof. And most of the time, there's not going to be any proof. So I'm just going to tell you, there's not going to be any evidence that's saying that you're not qualified. It's literally all up here. So you have to start challenging yourself, challenging those negative thoughts. Also, if you are into books, I challenge you to read a couple of self-help books about changing your thought process. One is called Get Out of Your Head. And I don't remember the name of the author, but I'll make sure I leave everything where you guys can see. It's called Get Out of Your Head. It basically talks about like how we're in our head, and most of the time, like, it's not true. Like 95% of the time, the things that we're thinking, the negative thoughts that we have come up with, or the storyline that we've come up with in our head, is not true. And so that's basically what that's talking about. And then there's another book that I haven't read yet, but it's next on my list. It's called The Mountain Is You. And basically just saying like you're in your own way. Like, your mind is the way you think, your mindset, that you're the mountain. You know what I mean? So that's my next book to read. And I feel like that would be also a great book to read if you want to start learning how to challenge those negative thoughts. Number 4 is going to be focus on growth and not perfection. So I know you guys have heard progress, not perfection. And that's basically what that means. Like, we need to be working on just improving day by day, taking little steps day by day to get where we need to get, and not focusing so much on being perfect, executing perfectly, because nobody's perfect. Like, we all have room to grow. And that's basically what we need to be focusing on, just growing and just being the best that we can be as we grow. And number 5 is going to be to celebrate our strengths. Make a list of everything that you know for a fact that you're good at, so that whenever you start having these thoughts, then you can come back and look at this list. Kind of think of it like a resume. Like, whenever you're creating your resume, or I know for me, whenever I created my resume in the past, I wanted to make myself look good. So I wanted to pull out every strength that I know for a fact that I could provide for this company, so that they would want to choose me as their candidate. So think about it like that. Find some things that you know for a fact that you're good at, write it down. And so that whenever you start to doubt yourself, go back to this list and just remind yourself, hey, I am X, Y, and Z. And just, again, start to challenge those negative thoughts and just kind of like reverse it, like on a reverse card. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's summarize. So we want to keep a win journal, number 1. Number 2, we want to talk about it, make sure we get a community. Number 3, we want to challenge those negative thoughts, find out what proof we have for those thoughts. Number 4, we want to focus on growth and not perfection. Remember, progress, not perfection. And number 5, we want to celebrate our strengths. Let's remember that resume kind of feel. Make a list of everything that we're good at, that we have strong qualities of, and then just remind ourselves that this is what we possess. This is what we bring to the table. Over time, practicing these strategies will help you be more confident and kind of quiet that noises in your mind. Now, before we go, I want to say, imposter syndrome and procrastination go hand in hand. I have also been doing research on that as well, and I'm going to do another video talking about procrastination. So the next video you guys will see will be about procrastination and how we're going to break the cycle of procrastination, as well as breaking the negative thoughts of imposter syndrome. So let me know in the comments if you resonated with any of this stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.